we'll start the music. Hello, everybody. We like that little part, so at least you can start by seeing some of the things that we're going to talk about, and that's good. And we are here today to talk about a good topic: how to handle imposter syndrome in your job and your career. So, if you're tuning in, I would like you to put live. I'm going to turn on the chat here so you can make some comments. So if you're tuning in, put live if you're live, if you're watching on the replay, because this is also on YouTube and it's also on Facebook. It's on LinkedIn too. So you can put replay. So Dr. Loubna, thanks for being here. And we meet every Friday to talk about this. And guess what? I'm also going live on Wisdom. So that one is on too. We're all over the place. There's so many live audios. There's so much stuff to take advantage of. So Dr. Loubna, what about our topic? How to handle imposter syndrome in your new job or in your career, anywhere in your business. But today we know some people are starting some jobs, and when they go to the job, they say, oh crap, why am I here? So what do you think about this topic?
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic that we definitely need to tackle, right? That's why we picked it, because you and I, we have clients who are going through that, and we see imposter syndrome constantly. So yes, definitely we need to talk about it, right? The different types, and then how to handle it, and why even it shows up. Why does imposter syndrome show up, right?
Yes, awesome. Yes, imposter syndrome. I have, you go on a new job and you say, oh my goodness, why am I here? Can I do the job? A lot of stuff start happening in your stomach. Butterflies start happening. And today we just want to identify the different types of imposter syndromes that can happen to you. And we're also going to tell you what you can do in order not to make this thing take over your life. Because guess what? We have to go on with business. We have to do the work. So those who are joining in, as I said, Dr. Loubna and I are here almost, I'm not going to say almost every Friday, because sometimes life happens, but almost every Friday we are here to give you some tips. So you want to take it away, Doctor?
Sure, yes. And just to piggyback on that, we are not beating ourselves up on Fridays where we can't come, right? We say it's okay. We're not going to be judged. We're going to do our best to show up every Friday, but when we can't, it's still okay. All right. So there are 5 types, like you said, Yvonne. So the first one is the perfectionism. And I'm sure many people would identify themselves, right? They want everything to be perfect. They set excessively high goals for themselves, and they're pushing themselves. And when they fail to reach a goal, what happens? They start doubting themselves. They start feeling anxious. And instead of, delegating and checking within the team who can help them, they just take everything on. And the other thing is that the brain is talking negatively, right? The mindset is not at the right place either.
Awesome. Yeah, that's true. It's a real thing, right? It's a real thing. And as you say, the 5 types, one of the types is that you are a perfectionist, right? Sometimes as you grow older, you realize that perfectionism doesn't really work, right? But instead of thinking of the hard work that you put in, as you say, after you complete the task, you start criticizing yourself for the small mistakes that you make, right? So that is a perfectionist, right? And the thing is that the sad thing about that is that you might even start refusing from doing new things to make it better, because you are just, when that negative thing comes across you, you're just, okay, I'm a perfectionist. I want this way. Listen, I always say to a lot of people in business, and I do know this, a lot of times 80% is good enough. You go to 100%, especially when you're in quality. Sometimes when you go 100%, it costs so much that your company is going to start losing money, right? Yes. So although today we're talking about imposter syndrome in your job when you start the job, we're going to touch on that too. But we recognize that imposter syndrome happens all the time, not only when you start
Yes.
a new job.
Yes, you're right, Yvonne. It's all the time. It's for people who just accepted new jobs. It's for people who are changing responsibilities, and yeah, it's an ongoing thing. And the other type of imposter syndrome is what we call, I mean, being Superman, being a superwoman, right? People who push themselves to extremes, and they keep working harder and harder because they feel that they need to do that. But the thing, what happens at some point is that it starts affecting other areas of their life, like their mental health, their physical health, and relationships with other people around them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what Dr. Loubna is also referring to superhero in terms of, I can do it all, I can do everything, and at the same time you are not taking care of yourself. You're not taking care of your body, you're not taking care of your when you start stressing out, number one, you're not taking care of your mental health, right?
Yes.
So you have to make sure that you don't think, oh, I'm a superhero, I can do it all, don't have to ask for help, and just keep going. And at the same time, you are not taking care of your health. So that is very important, whether you're going on a new job, or you are in business, or you are in the job, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're an employee. You have to realize, especially for entrepreneurs too, that you have to learn how to delegate some things so that you take care of yourself, so imposter syndrome does not come in. Because imposter syndrome is really because of fear. You feel that you
Yes.
fear you because you feel that I alone can do it. I'm not going to ask for help because I am afraid that other people are not going to do it as well as I can. Trust me, everybody does that. I just think I can do it
Yes.
better, and I need to have my hands in everything. So I'm talking to myself at the same time. And
Yeah.
what you think about that? What do you think about that, Dr. Luther? Because that's true,
Yeah,
because
no, you're right.
right.
You're right, because these people are looking for internal validation. You know what? They don't have enough confidence, and they're afraid, right? They're afraid. There's the fear of failure. There's the fear of being judged, and they think that they're the only ones who can do it all, right? So yeah, so basically they have to slow down. They have to see who can help. They need to ask for help, and then at the same time gauge how much workload is manageable, right, and reasonable.
Absolutely. And another one that we wanted to talk about too is a natural genius, right? Remember, you spend your whole time honing your skills, and you spend your whole, sometimes almost a lifetime, right? And you believe that competent people can handle anything. You believe you can handle anything, right? And sometimes if something doesn't come easy to you, or you fail to succeed on your first try, you might feel very ashamed and embarrassed. You ever feel like that? Oh my, I should have done this. I should have known better. I should have been able to do
Yes.
this. This is going to happen to you whether you're a business person, whether you're a career professional, whether you're starting a job, where you have a new project to do. Just remember that those, you have to recognize that these are signs of imposter syndromes. These are signs that you need to be aware of, because we're going to talk about how you're going to be able to deal with these things, because you have to recognize before you know how to deal with it. If you don't
Yeah.
recognize something, you don't know it's there, then you're not going to make any steps to do anything, right?
Yes, totally. I mean, these people need to realize that learning a skill takes time. You're not going to have a magic wand and then hit it and then be able to learn very quickly and just apply things, right? So they need to cut themselves some slack and take time to learn, and 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 then apply the skill without judging themselves, without feeling ashamed, and tell themselves that it takes time to master something and it's okay, and in the meantime they can still ask for help. So
Awesome, awesome. And what do you think about the rugged individualists, they call it, or the soloists, the person who think that they can go it alone? Because
Oh
all of
yeah.
these things, as you can see, they're sort of interlinked, right? Expert, natural genius. It's because we are
Yes.
overachievers and we think, you
Yes.
know, we can do this, we can do it alone, we can do it solo, right? So asking
Yeah.
someone to help or accepting support when it's offered, it means that you have failed, right? Sometimes I feel
Mhm.
that way, honestly. So what do you think about that, Dr. Loubna?
Yeah, so that's exactly what you're describing. I mean, some people refuse to ask for help because, again, they don't want to be judged. They're going to think that people are going to consider them as not being experts, not being able to do the job, right? So they have all these stories that they're making up instead of just asking for help and collaborating with people around. So yeah, and there's no shame in that.
There's no shame in that. There's no
Mhm.
shame in asking for help. You know what?
Yeah.
I have a big problem in asking for help. I
Mm.
don't know at my age and stage, I don't know if that is going to change. And I would not recommend that to anybody because I just, especially when I was working, I put in extra hours just to get it done myself sometimes because I just
Yeah.
feel that I'm burdening people with this. But listen, I also have learned that if you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what?
Right? Nobody's gonna know that you need help. My boss
Yeah.
says, even ask for help. Ask somebody to help you. And you always feel, oh, if I ask them, I wonder if they think I can do it. And listen, this is natural, people. This is real.
There's nothing wrong with asking for help. You know what? And think about it. Time is money. If you keep working on something and you don't know how to do it, you're going to be wasting time and you're going to be wasting money for the company. So you better ask for help and get things done quicker and faster. And yeah, so it's going to be a win-win situation. And
Yes.
just like the judging and the shaming, that's the hardest part, you know? So,
It took me years. It took me years. I don't know about you, but it took me
mhm.
years to realize that asking for help was a great thing.
Oh, yeah, no, no, I agree,
When you
Yvonne.
were going to school and all that, and when you grow up, you have an assignment to do. You go do your assignment, you go do
Yeah,
stuff, and go do it on your own. And you kind of feel bad when you have to ask people, and they're showing you, and you're feeling, oh my goodness, I don't know. It
yeah,
was not until I grew older, and you know, young people, if you're listening to this on the broadcast, if you're listening, please remember there is no shame in asking for help. All you can, if you get a no, don't worry about the no, because if you don't ask, you don't get, right? And you ask one
exactly.
person, you don't have, maybe that person just don't have the time and they don't know at the moment to help you, and they don't know how to tell you that. But it's not that they feel that you can't do it or something, because nobody can do everything. And I find that
Exactly.
imposter syndrome is real, guys. It
Yeah.
is real.
Nobody is an expert in everything. Nobody, nobody. And it's okay, you know, it's okay to collaborate with people and what I call competition, you know, like you want to look for people who have different skills, complementary skills, and then you collaborate with them instead of competing with them, right? You
What did you
collaborate
call
and
that,
you make
competition?
competition, yeah.
Oh,
Collaborative competition. Competition.
collaborative competition. Yes, you
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
what I call it.
competition. But you know what? We have to they have to start reteach everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because we competition, when you're growing up, you see all these ads and everything. You thought competition was good. Now you're older, and a lot of young people still think competition is good. Now you're older, you realize competition is not good. It wasn't really a good thing. Collaboration and cooperation is better than competition.
Yes, but I would add that for young people, you know, people who are starting their career, I mean, they're competing with others for the same position. So I guess in that case, they can compete, right, without being aggressive. But competition in that case is acceptable, I guess, right? Because they need
Exactly,
to show
exactly,
their best. They need to show
exactly.
their best. But yeah, when you start getting established, you can collaborate with people. But it's good to have the mindset of collaboration rather than cutthroat competition. I agree with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is that when you're looking for a job, really, you know, you're competing with other people, but you're not seeing them, right? It's not like you
Yes.
know. So that is
Yes,
kind of a different than when you're working in a job or
exactly.
something like that, or
Exactly.
when you're in a project team. Because
Yes.
I used to see people work on project teams and they just go around, they get the ideas, they put things together, and they just grow and blossom. And then you're afraid to do it, and then you have your own little ideas, but you did not solicit enough. You didn't have enough brainstorming to get
Mm-hmm.
yours to the right, product, or
Yes.
the right project, or the most successful project, because you did not collaborate enough. Collaboration over competition, co-petition. Did I say
Co-petition.
it right?
Yes, co-petition.
Awesome,
It's a
awesome,
big up word. It's made up.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so that is really a great thing to know. So we, today we are going to just give our tips, and so that people can have something quickly to come to, right? So what would we say? We want to move on to, so
So
anyway,
we have
before
another one, Yvonne, right?
we,
We have the expert,
ah,
right?
oh, the
The other,
expert.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the expert. Yeah, so people, people who label themselves as experts, who want to be experts, and usually they measure their competence based on what they know, how much they know, or they can do, and uh, they constantly think that they can do enough. They don't know enough because uh, and then actually it pushes them to keep gathering things and gathering information that's not even needed, right? Because they're afraid of being asked questions and not knowing the answer. They don't want to look as being inexperienced. And you know what? And then it falls into the extreme, right? These people, like, they push it so much that it turns into procrastination, right? They're waiting to learn and gather the knowledge, and then they have the analysis paralysis, right, Yvonne? So yes, and then it turns out into procrastination.
Yeah, because the thing is that, they think they have all the answers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you feel that you do not have all the answers, you feel that, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I
Yeah.
can't answer a question. But I think it is how we were programmed going to school. We had to have all the right answers, right? And when
Yes.
you're programmed that way, and I know you're into all this kind of programming and all that of the mind and the brain, and you're sort of
Yeah.
in the mindset avenue, but you encounter some issues there, because we were taught that we have to be right. We were taught that we have to know everything. And
Mm-hmm.
when you start looking for a job, when you get into the projects, when you start working, you feel that you have to be right all the time. And all these things coupled together, all the things that
Yeah.
we talk about today, can be very devastating to anybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And it's okay when you don't know something, you can learn it. You can learn it. And uh, you want to keep a mindset of being agile, of being flexible, of just looking for the information on the go. That's okay. That's okay. Nobody knows it all again, right?
Uh,
And do you want
absolutely.
to?
Absolutely, I'm saying. I'm
Yes,
agreeing with you.
yes, yes. And you can always acquire a skill very quickly, especially if you get promoted, you have new responsibilities. So you will still have to go through the learning process. And we need to keep learning every single day, a new task, a new thing. That's okay. We
Absolutely.
don't want to stop. We don't want to stop learning.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm just going to run down the five things we talked about, so that anybody who is listening or joined us midstream can have those five types of imposter syndrome, and you will find that there's a fine thread between among all of them,
Yes.
and then we will know that, some of those things are things that we need to recognize within ourselves, and then we will talk about how we're going to deal with it, right? So
Mhm.
the perfectionist, remember we talked about the perfectionist, we talk about the natural genius, we think we are a genius and we should know everything. The soloist, we go it alone, right? We go solo. You're the expert, or you're the superhero, right? So that is very important that we know those 5 things. And how are we going to deal with these things? Let me give you the first one. I think the first thing is to acknowledge though that we actually are going through this imposter syndrome. That's why we are having this anxiety. I think that's the first thing that we want to do.
Yes.
Acknowledge that we have these things. And I'll just give two because they're close. And the second one is
Yes.
to acknowledge that everybody goes through it. Everybody, every now and again, you feel like a fake. You feel like you're out of luck. And everybody, every now and again, we discount our own successes,
Yeah.
especially when you're going for a new job.
Exactly, exactly. And everyone feels that way, everyone feels that way. But the trick is to be aware of it. Okay. Step number one into dealing with any challenge or a specific situation is to be aware of what's happening. And if you're aware of what's happening, then you can think it over and then start thinking about how to feel better, right? So being
Absolutely,
aware. Yeah.
absolutely. And one of the things that I think we need to think about, I just have, I kind of had to do a little bit of jotting. Recognize that you don't need, if you're in a job, if it's about a job, you have to recognize you do not have to nail it down right away. When you get a new job and everybody in the company talking acronyms.
Mm,
To learn all the acronyms, what people are saying, everything sounds like you're in a different zone, but you
yes.
have to recognize that you have time. You do not have to know everything right away, and remind yourself that why you were being hired for this job.
Yes, Yvonne, yes. And when people are in transition, I mean, they need to be aware of what to do to move themselves through the transition smoothly, right? And this is one of the things you and I help our clients with as well, right? When people go to a new job, we want them to feel confident, we want them to be prepared, we share with them what to do during the first months. And a part of it is to allocate time to learning, and that's expected of you. You will have time to learn. I mean, you don't want to be learning for like a whole year. You will be learning new things. You want to learn fast, you want to be agile, but it's part of the transition process. And it's okay not to know all the answers during the first week, right? But to continue progressing.
Exactly. And one of the problems with people who are going on to new jobs, nobody actually, in some jobs, not all jobs, some jobs they will give you, like what we developed, but it took long for us to develop this at our last
Mhm.
company, a good onboarding strategy, right? A good
Yes.
onboarding process. When the person comes to the new job, you're not just going to throw them into the fire and to say you have everything, just throw them in. We had a plan. We developed a plan for each employee that we were onboarding for at least the first month or two. We taught them new things. We had them shadowing people in the organization. At least in the first month, it was more like them learning the processes, learning the systems, meeting with everybody, and learning what other people do, meeting with the CEO, meeting with the. I used to set that up, and in the first week, I get to
Yes.
meet with the CEO. In the first week, I get them to
Mhm.
meet with my VP in the first week, like at least I think the first day or something like that. We used to do a thing where we
Yeah.
introduce them to the people around the office and everything. So that is very important because when they get that relaxed, they know that okay, I'm not be working today, I'm learning things. Some people they just give them a book and say, here it is, read up on the job, the process. Some companies, like the one I worked with, we had shadowing. You shadow somebody in the job for a couple of weeks or so on, or we depending on the job, and then before you actually start doing the job.
Yes, and companies do things differently, right? Me yeah, like most companies would think about doing all of those things you just highlighted, like the shadowing and the onboarding and making sure that they meet everyone. But some companies don't do it, right? And it's up to you as a new hire to be aware of the things you need to do, right, Yvonne? And these are some of the things we support people with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, I
that's what
mean,
we're doing this.
yeah, making sure you're going to be building the right relationships, you understand the processes, you learn constantly, and there are like checklists of things to do and to be aware of, right? And you want to be proactive in your approach when you join a new company.
Yeah. So what I've been doing too, and I know you've been doing that too, Dr. Loubna. We in just not the career coaching, but also the mentoring of senior executives and leaders. We've been doing a lot of that kind of mentoring because a lot of people realize that even when they're on the job, they need a coach, and
Oh,
I'm seeing more
yes.
of that these days. That on the
Yes.
job coaching sometimes it's not like at once a month we have this call or
Yeah.
Zoom meeting or and more leaders are doing that these days because they need that
Yes.
type of one-on-one, not a group thing, a one-on-one. Sometimes it because everybody is different and they're individual. So some of those are some of the things that Dr. Loubna and I do in our practice. The reason why
Yes.
we work together on these live shows and come to you is because we have similar thinking. We have, very, very senior in what we do. We don't know everything. So we
We
also
don't.
collaborate, but we know quite a bit in the career space because we have been doing this for a very long time. I see my friend
Yes.
Robert is here. Hi, Robert. We're
Oh,
talking about imposter syndrome, my friend, and we're talking about some of the things that we reached a stage where we're talking about some of the things that the new employee, or sometimes these things can, uh, even people in business or already are an employee can do to ensure that this imposter syndrome don't prevent them from elevating in their career.
yes. And you know, Yvonne, actually, just like a very like real life example. This week, I've been working with a client of mine, and she's going to interviews, and then she started having the imposter syndrome. And I'm like, what's going on? You have all the skills, you're good. What is going on? So I had to help her, just like talk things through and listen to those stories that she was telling herself that she's not good enough and she didn't have enough confidence to go to the interview and wasn't sure if she had to leave her job and blah 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 blah, you know and yeah, it's during the transition, it's during the job interview, it's all the time. And
Well,
again, we go back to the confidence, right? People need to build
yeah,
confidence,
yeah.
and we know it's not easy, but it's possible. It's really possible.
So,
Yes.
so you're talking about also before they go for the job interview. I'm finding that people are getting the job, and it's when that is why when we talked about this, I thought this was a very good topic because people are getting the job and are stressing themselves out. And as you
Mm,
say, some companies have the processes in place, but some don't have it. And when they don't have it, you have to deal with that as a job seeker. You have to deal with that going in there. And one of the things that you have to remind yourself of when you this imposter syndrome is coming at you is not only to recognize that you don't need to nail everything in the job right away, but remind yourself of your achievements. What
yes.
have you done before? And also remind yourself and have faith that the person who hired you made a good decision because you didn't hire yourself. They must have seen something in you at the interview or something that you said to them. Why? Right? Am I correct? Am I
Yes,
low? Going crazy
yes,
here?
exactly. That's why actually when you have somebody who's holding you accountable, they remind you of all the amazing things you're bringing to the table. They're reminding you to keep in mind your achievements and all the skills you're bringing to the table. And that's why you were selected to go to the interview. but you need to say it. You need to repeat it. You know, you need to share it with people. You cannot keep it to yourself and just assume that they will read your resume and know right away that you're the best person. No, 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 no. You keep working hard until you get the offer. You don't stop. You get the offer, and then you can relax a little bit, just a little bit.
So one of the things that I want to add, and I do have the 6 ways of dealing with imposter syndrome, which is one of them. Identify your imposter thoughts and acknowledge that you are experiencing imposter syndrome. The second one is to acknowledge that everyone experiences this anxiety, which we talk about. Then recognize that it takes time to adjust to the job, and thinking of your skills and abilities and achievements, and develop confidence in yourself. And also, we talked about have confidence in your hiring manager's decision to hire you. And the sixth one I want to address, Dr. Loubna, is develop and repeat mantras, positive affirmative statements that motivate you and help you to get focused. What do you think about having these positive mantras?
Oh my God, I'm so much for that. You know, actually, yesterday I was talking to my client and I was like, listen, before the interview, I want you to shake that negative energy. I want you to dance. I want you to feel great. I want you to remind yourself about the amazing things you have done. And I asked her to write down a few things and read them, you know, because you change the energy before going to the interview and you feel amazing. So yes, Yvonne, I'm so much for those things. Yes.
Well, here are some things, and I'm going to kind of read a few of them. Let me see now where I am. I'm going to read a few of these. 7 powerful mantras, right? I am meant to be here. I am meant to be here. When you're in a job, you know, when I was in my last job, regardless of what everything was going on around me, I said, no, I have to put God in this. I said, God put me here. Nobody's going to move me. That was my mantra. Anytime I was having problems with people, because I had a firm belief that I was on that job for a reason. So I said, God put me here and nobody is going to take me out of this job unless God tells me it's time for me to go. So one of the things, I am meant to be here. The second thing, remember, everyone feels secure at times. You got to remember that. 3, perfection does not exist. 4, mistakes doesn't equal failure. 5, failure is a part of every success story. And then you can watch YouTube and Google them all, okay? There is success in trying rather than not to start or try something. What do you think about that? And remember, progress. Number 7, progress starts with each step that you take.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yes, yes. It's about trying and falling and standing up again and trying and continuing, right? Because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, you just keep thinking about that, right?
Yeah,
and let's say, yes, you keep following it, and that's your ultimate goal. You reach that goal, you set new goals, and you keep going and you keep going. And it's okay if you don't succeed the first time. It's totally okay. Maybe it wasn't meant to happen, right? And if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. But you need to give it your 100%, okay, without being perfectionist, right? We're not talking about perfectionism, but you're going to put a lot of effort, and you want it, and you want to feel good, and you want to repeat amazing affirmations to yourself. It does help because you already have the skills, right? You have the skills, and that's why they called you to come for the interview. So now it's about talking to your mind positively and going for it.
Awesome. I love this. And guess what? This one, I love it the most. Number 1, I was meant to be here.
Yes.
I was meant to be here. If you're starting a new job, I hope everybody on LinkedIn will watch this after the broadcast, because sometimes these things I'm only doing them on, it takes time to do these. So if I don't get the stuff out on a Thursday and Friday mornings, we post it out. A lot of times people are doing other things, and I know a lot of things going on right now. But in the replay, when they watch, you have to know when you get a new job, it was meant for you. I was meant to be here. You did all that analysis. You did everything. You went through the interview. You decided whether you're going to take this job. I know you're having imposter syndrome. Listen, you were meant to be there. We could almost end on that. You were meant to be there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you are, let me check something here. So if you are watching on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn Live, if you're listening on Wisdom right now, right, and if you're on Wisdom or any of those places and want to get a replay of these things, it's on LinkedIn. It's also on my YouTube channel, Goal Inspired Career Coaching, right? So it's on there. It will be the last thing that's uploaded there, because it's important that you go in there and look at those 7 things. Those 7 mantras that you can repeat to yourself. It is also good that you can go back through what Dr. Loubna and I talked about today, about those 5 imposter syndrome types. It is also important that you recognize that you're having them, and also recognize that it's normal and natural state of being to fear some things, right? And when you go on the job, they did not do anything on the job for you to onboard or to plan, or you're having difficulty, you can reach out to Dr. Loubna. You can reach out to myself. And Dr. Loubna, if they want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Loubna Erraji. I'm also, like, my website is advancesconsulting.com. I'm also on Instagram, Dr.Loubna. So I'm a little bit everywhere.
Yes, so Dr. Loubna has a digital footprint. Guys, if you're working with people and they don't have a digital footprint, that's a problem. So you know where to find us. We're on LinkedIn. Dr. Loubna is on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. And actually, if you just say, put in your browser, meetcoachyvonne.com. I made it so simple. I invested in a digital 10K business card, a digital card, so that you don't have to go looking for me in different places. It's almost like a snapshot view of all my social digital spaces. So meetcoachyvonne.com. Put that in your browser. Go there. You see my blog. I write a blog, right? So make sure that you go to all these spaces and learn. Right. I just updated a blog this week where you can learn. Right. We have websites. Dr. Loubna has a website. I have a website. And on LinkedIn, Yvonne Robinson Jackson. So you can find us. Find us if you're in a job. Honestly, it's hard when you start a job and there's nothing. You might need someone to take you through, because you're better off getting some help in the beginning than waiting for 3 months.
Yes.
You're already there.
And Yvonne, even if there's help at the job, like the people we work with, I mean, they're pretty much advanced in their career, right? Most of them, they're pretty much advanced, and they work for big companies, and sometimes they don't have all the infrastructure available to them. They don't know where to get started. They're missing on things to do and think about while they're in transition. So it's always a good thing to go ready and prepared to have the best first 3 months, because they're the most important.
Guys, we work with people from making $0 because they were coming out of school. I say making from $0 to $500 and over $500,000. Right now, I'm coaching a gentleman. He's a multiple 6-figure income person, and he's looking for a job. I'm coaching another one. He's multiple 6-figure income, but he's not looking for a job. You know what he wants? He wants to talk to me once a month, because he's going through some things on the job. He's trying to figure out things. So a lot of times executives reach a position in their business or in their jobs, and they reach up, they need a breakthrough. They need to move to a next level. And this gentleman wants to move to a next level. He's very senior and he's moving to a next level, and he wanted the clarity. And we talked and we worked together. And I just, what should I say now? I just graduated him this week, and he didn't want to graduate. So we are going to be there's another one after he found his big figure income. He paid me as tranche this week, and he doesn't want to graduate either because he feels that once a month he needs to talk to me to deal with some things. Let me tell you, folks, managers and senior people also need guidance. They need coaching. So when we finish the coaching, we go into mentorship because you need to be mentored. What do you think about that, Loubna? The stuff that we've been doing with all these people.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't need to end because even you and I, we have our coaches. And if we feel the need to continue with them once we finish the mini programs we do, I mean, we do it, right? Because everyone needs to be held accountable. Everyone needs someone who supports them and guides them to set goals and continue growing and continue learning, right? And when we work with our clients, that's what we do. It's not just to solve a problem, but it's about feeling more assertive and more confident and reaching the potential and continuing to grow and thinking about what's next and the big vision. So there are multiple things we support our clients with.
Awesome. I just wanted to mention that today because many people in the audience might be thinking, oh, do we only find jobs for people? That's great. But you find the job, you got to keep the job. And that is why today we also yes, you find a job, you got to keep that job, especially when you're right. Money. And for most of the jobs, like a job, it's a goal. So for most jobs, it's a golden handcuff. They're making so much money, they don't want to leave that job, but they have to know how to continue there. Yeah. So Dr. Loubna, do you have any more words to say for our audience, or can we go to their lovely music?
Yeah. So I just want to say, like, if you guys notice the imposter syndrome, just remember how amazing you are. Give yourself a pat on the back and say that you can do it and you have to continue. That's what I want to say.
How amazing you are. She said, how amazing. Remember how amazing you are. And remember, the first thing we talk about when you're feeling this, you were meant to be there.
Yes.
It's yours. So we're going to go out now. That you can write them down or take screenshots or write your memory because we did cover a lot of things and we have a lot of nice visuals. So that's what we want to do for you. That's what we do for you. Remember the 7 powerful mantras. Remember, Dr. Loubna